The quarterback market is igniting around the National Football League right now, and today on Steelers Talk, I'm going to be breaking down my latest thoughts about the latest buzz, rumors, and news surrounding the quarterback position in the NFL today, and what I think the Steelers are going to be doing and how they're going to approach the quarterback position this offseason now that Matthew Stafford is officially off the table. Welcome into the show, guys. Before we get into the content, go down there right now and click that subscribe button, because when the Steelers find their quarterback, whoever it's going to be for 2025, Coop and I are going to be going live right here on this channel to break it down for you guys, the pros, the cons, everything heading into the 2025 season with our new quarterbacks. Make sure you click that subscribe button right now, so whenever that breaking news update hits, you guys know that you'll have our content. So let's start here with the news of the day, which is that Matthew Stafford is officially returning to the Los Angeles Rams. It was reported earlier today that this was going to be the day that they were going to make a decision. Matthew Stafford met with the Rams brass in Los Angeles earlier today, and they did come to an agreement to keep him in Los Angeles. They have agreed to a restructured contract. We don't know the details on that just yet, but Stafford will be returning to the Rams. And because of that, I think that now the Steelers can move into kind of their phase two of quarterback hunting, which is going to include the second tier of quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Aaron Rodgers, Sam Darnold, that next tier of quarterback target. And I think, my gut feeling right now is that the target that the Steelers are going to want is Russell Wilson. I think they want to re-sign Russ, and I think that they're going to be using the possibility of signing Justin Fields instead as leverage to get a better deal on a Russell Wilson contract. Now, to be clear, me personally, I wanted to take the jump and go get Matthew Stafford. That would have been my best case scenario this offseason. I would have really appreciated if this organization kind of got their head out of their ass here and kind of stopped pussyfooting around with all these kind of mid-level quarterbacks, and they actually went out and got a legitimate, bona fide top 10 QB like Matthew Stafford still is. And I think that the difference difference-making quarterbacks and, guys that are top 8 kind of guys like Matthew Stafford, what they do is they elevate your roster and they allow, for a larger margin of error between, the team building in the offseason and then also with injuries throughout the year. If you have a guy that can elevate the roster, you don't have to have a perfect team in order to compete for a Super Bowl. If you have a guy like Stafford, you can have not the best offensive line in the world. You can have not the best receiving room in the world. You can have a defense that doesn't have to be perfect every single week to compete for a Super Bowl. A quarterback like that would elevate the game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And my take on great quarterbacks, guys, is that, if you have a Mahomes, if you have a Josh Allen, if you have a Lamar Jackson, if you have a Matthew Stafford, a guy that elevates a team, you can elevate a team's entire team grade by a whole letter grade. So if you have like a B team and you have a great quarterback, you can become an A team with an elite quarterback that can elevate the roster. And the Steelers have been stuck being a B team for a long time. This has been an offensive line that has underperformed, and they have not had adequate quarterback play since prime Big Ben. And because of that, this team is stuck in kind of that B tier of teams, and they're not really competing for Super Bowls. So if you get a guy that can elevate the roster like Matthew Stafford, my thinking was even if he was expensive, all these different things, I thought the Steelers could swing it financially if they wanted to really go in on that. But that could help you go from a B team that you've been over the last at least half decade to get back to that A status and hopefully try to compete for a Super Bowl. But now that is not a possibility anymore, we'll move off of the Matthew Stafford talk here on the channel for good. And I think that the Steelers, now that we shift into kind of this phase two, of the quarterback market in the National Football League, is that I don't think the Steelers want to spend that much on a quarterback. And the reason for that is they want this offense to be run heavy. They want this offense to be run through the run game. And because of that, I don't think they want to pay a quarterback $40+ million. And I think what Tomlin wants in his quarterback is he wants somebody that's not that expensive. He wants experienced playoff, experience from his quarterback because he values that because he wants to try to win now. He needs somebody that can deliver in the clutch, somebody that protects the football, somebody that avoids the middle of the field. I don't disagree. I completely disagree with that, by the way, but that's what Tomlin wants because he feels like throwing over the middle leads to more turnovers, which is something he doesn't want. And then he wants somebody that's an efficient downfield passer. These 5 things right here all speak to Russell Wilson being the guy that Tomlin would want. He fits the mold of a Mike Tomlin quarterback to a T, which is why I think he is the guy that they are trying to re-sign, not Justin Fields. I could be wrong on that, but that is just my feeling. And we can go through Tomlin's wish list here and break down each thing one by one. The first thing, experienced playoff veteran. Russell Wilson has 17 career playoff games. He has a winning record in the playoffs, and he does have one Super Bowl win and one Super Bowl and then 2 Super Bowl appearances, right? So, when it comes to that playoff experience, when it comes to having fourth quarter and game-winning drives, all these different things in the postseason, Russell Wilson has been there. He has done that, and he will not be afraid of that big stage. The second thing that I think Tomlin likes about Russ is that he can deliver in the clutch. He delivered in some clutch moments last year with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The ones that come to mind are the Washington Commanders game. He had some really clutch moments in the Cleveland Browns game in the fourth quarter, delivering some nice passes in the snow. He almost led the team back in the Cincinnati Bengals game, the second one, the season finale. And he actually put together some really good throws in the second half against the Baltimore Ravens in the playoff game as well. So Tomlin's looking for somebody that can deliver in the fourth quarter, and Russell Wilson is top 10 all time in fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives. And I think he still shows over the last couple of seasons that he is still capable of doing that sort of stuff. Number 3 on my list here, and that I think Tomlin has on his list, is that Russell Wilson protects the football better than just about any other quarterback in the National Football League. He was third in turnover-worthy play percentage last year with just a 1.7% turnover-worthy play percentage, and he has one of the lowest interception percentages in the history of the National Football League. So that's something that Tomlin really likes. And how does he have such a low turnover-worthy play percentage? It's because he avoids the middle of the field. Russell Wilson doesn't really throw over there unless it's his first read, right? So I think that Russ is somebody that doesn't throw over the middle all that much. He likes to target, deep and down the sideline, short passing windows, all these different things. And that's what Tomlin wants in his quarterback, at least according to Mark Kaboli. And then we get to the final thing that I think Tomlin likes about Russell Wilson is that he is an efficient downfield passer. And Russell Wilson is pulling the trigger on a pass of 10 or more air yards. He was first in the league last year in yards per attempt and EPA per attempt on those downfield passes, all right? So that is something that Russell Wilson absolutely still has in his bag. He's got great accuracy down the field. He throws with great touch. He gives his guys opportunities to make plays, and when he's throwing the ball down the field, he is certainly one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League. Plus, I do expect that Russell Wilson will take less money to stay, all right? I think that Russ, when you hear him talk about what his goals are for the rest of his career, it's just one thing. It's winning Super Bowls. And he believes that here with Mike Tomlin and with this Steelers defense, it gives him the best possible chance to win Super Bowls before he retires. He's certainly going to have a better chance here than with the Las Vegas Raiders, with all due respect to that organization and Pete Carroll. But I do think that Russ's best chance to win is here in Pittsburgh. I think he knows that, which is why I think he'll end up taking less money. And I think that if Russ does come back, I think it's going to be somewhere around 2 years, $40 million total. That would mean $20 million per season. It might be a little bit more than that, depending on how well Russ's representation is able to negotiate for him. But I really do think that the Steelers are going to have their number that they would be willing to bring Russell Wilson back for. And I think that they're going to tell Russ, you can either take that contract number or you can leave it. And it's really going to come down to whether Russell Wilson wants to be a Pittsburgh Steeler next year, which I think he does. And then, I think the second part of the plan for the quarterback position this year is not only to bring back Russell Wilson on a 2-year contract that they can get out of easily in 2026 if they so desire, but I also think that they're going to draft a rookie in the middle rounds of the NFL draft so that that quarterback can be the long-term answer at the quarterback position and to sit behind Russell Wilson for a couple of seasons while they get ready to be the starter. These are 5 quarterbacks that I would keep your eye on if you are a Pittsburgh Steeler fan. I don't think they're going to take a quarterback in round 1. I think Tyler Shuck out of Louisville has great tape, but he's a bit older. He has some injury concerns, but I think he's going to be. I think he would be a really, really good option for the Pittsburgh Steelers if they want to take a quarterback in round 2. Jackson Dart will also be a possibility for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They did meet with Dart formally at the NFL Combine this week. I have a third-round grade on him, but he could certainly be an option in round 2 as well. Will Howard, there's been some people connecting Howard to the Pittsburgh Steelers in recent weeks, and I can see why they would like him. He's got a very good deep ball. You got Jalen Milroe, somebody that does bring kind of that maybe Justin Fields-esque type of skill set where maybe he's a bit raw and he needs to develop a little bit, but he's got some really, really good tools at his disposal. I would take him in early day 3, so either round 4 or round 5. And then Quinn Ewers out of Texas is somebody that Coop really wants the Steelers to bring in on day 3. I think he is a true day 3 guy. And if you want to use a late round flyer on him, he does have good arm talent, all these different things. But, I personally, I'd probably rather go with the 4, maybe the top 3 guys on this list. So who's your guy? Let me know down there in the comments section. Who would be your preferred quarterback target in the NFL draft this year to back up Russell Wilson if that ends up being the case for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year? This will be the pinned comment on today's show. So in just a second here, I'll talk about our sponsor today at Prize Picks. And while I'm talking about Prize Picks, go down there in the comment section, find that pinned comment, and let me know which quarterback you want the Steelers to draft this offseason. Now let's shift our focus here to today's sponsor, Prize Picks, which is the best place to get real money sports action all on your phone. Join over 10 million members and sign up today. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Here's how it works, guys. You just pick 2 to 6 player stat projections. You select more or less, and then if you get them all right, or if you do a flex play, you could have different options there, but you can make some money with our friends at Prize Picks, and that's only if you know ball, guys. So Prize Picks puts their members first. All withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure, so that when my picks hit and when your picks hit, you guys can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, where every Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. You guys can see here that you've got the NFL Combine stuff on there, so you can pick the more or less on different metrics that these guys go into. Isaiah Bond from Texas says he's going to break the all-time 40-time record here, so we're taking the less on him. Jaden Blue, another Texas Longhorn, also says he's going to break the all-time 40-time record. We're taking the less on him. Mecca Igbuka, we're also taking the less on him on the 40-time, and then same thing with Arian Smith out of Georgia. So you guys can download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup when you download the Prize Picks app today. Prize Picks, run your game. So I know there's probably a lot of you at home saying, but Jack, what about Justin Fields? And there's certainly some reporting out there that the Steelers prefer Justin Fields to Russell Wilson. And I will say that there are conflicting reports out there, and it's absolutely a possibility that the Steelers do prefer Justin over Russ. But I think the more likely scenario here is that the Steelers are saying that they're interested in Justin Fields as kind of a leverage play to try and get Russell Wilson to take less money. And I think my take on the entire situation here is that Mike Tomlin and the Steelers like Justin Fields, but I don't know if they necessarily love Justin Fields. And I think that Tomlin actually prefers Russell Wilson heading into 2025. And, the reason why I think that, guys, is because every step of the way, every opportunity Tomlin has had to go with Justin Fields over Russell Wilson, he's had more than one opportunity at this point, he has chosen Russ over Fields. You take a look at kind of the track record here. He decided to give Russell Wilson pole position from the start. Then he named Russell Wilson the Week 1 starter after pretty much not practicing at all, at least in a full team capacity in training camp. Then, when Justin Fields had a 4-2 record as this team's starter, he still decided to go back to Russell Wilson when he eventually got healthy in Week 7 after the first 6 weeks there. And then, when the offense started to struggle down the stretch, he still stuck with him the rest of the way instead of going to Justin Fields, which was what a lot of this fan base wanted him to do towards the end of the season. I think that the big question surrounding Justin Fields and the Steelers' potential interest in him is that if Fields wasn't good enough for Mike Tomlin to start last year over Russ, and he hasn't started a game since Week 6 of last year's 2024 campaign, what new information does Tomlin have to think that he would be the better option over Russ heading into 2025? The Steelers are still trying to win now. So if that's still the mindset, and just last year Russ was the answer, I just don't know how Tomlin is going to be switching his opinion on these two guys and who's more ready to lead this team to playoff victories. You take a look at the numbers last year, Russell Wilson and the offense did perform better than when Justin Fields was in there as the starting quarterback. They had a field goal more per game. The yards per play was higher. Russ's EPA per play was slightly higher than Justin Fields's as well. The big-time throw percentage was definitely higher. I would definitely say the downfield passing game was much more efficient with Russell Wilson than it was with Justin Fields. And then the turnover-worthy play percentage, Russell Wilson, as we talked about, top 3 in the league. Justin Fields ranked 20th at 2.8 with all the fumbles that he had, right? And all the dropped interceptions, all these different things that he had on his tape back last season. So with all that said, Fields isn't out of the picture, right? He is still very much in the running to be this team's starting quarterback. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's impossible that this team has him as their number one option heading into 2025. And by the way, if they sign him, I'm going to get behind him, and I'm going to get behind this football team, and I'm going to hope that he develops heading into his 5th year in the National Football League, and I'm really going to be rooting for his success. But I think that if this team doesn't bring him back, things are going to get ugly in terms of the fan base reaction. You take a look at this poll we put out on the channel just a couple days ago, asking if Justin Fields is the only acceptable answer for the Steelers at the quarterback position this offseason. 70% of 6,000 respondents said yes. All right, so that is a really, really large majority of this fan base that is locked in to Justin Fields being this team's starter. And if he's not the answer here and they bring in Russell Wilson, or if they go to Aaron Rodgers, or if they do something else that's crazy, I think that this fan base is going to freaking have a meltdown on Steelers Twitter. And yes, there's going to be an angry mob outside of Acrisure Stadium, man. Like if Pittsburgh goes with Russell Wilson, I think this fan base is absolutely going to riot. I don't think Mike Tomlin particularly cares what fans think, but, it's definitely the case that fans will not be very enthusiastic about this upcoming season if Russell Wilson is the answer. And as I've been saying on this show, guys, we did a video on this very recently. The Steelers are going to try to win now. They're going to make moves that are with more of a short-term focus than a long-term focus, and I think that's going to lead to a lot of decisions this offseason that a lot of fans do not agree with and will be disappointed by. And I think the king of those decisions might be bringing back Russell Wilson. You take a look at what Omar Khan, the Steelers GM, said at the Combine this week about the state of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He says, I think we have some very talented people on the roster, and I think we add some more talented people. I think we have a chance to win a Super Bowl. I really do. So do you agree with the GM of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Do the Steelers have a chance to win the Super Bowl this year like he claims? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comments section. I can see where Omar Khan's coming with on that, but I also get why the fans are pessimistic that the Steelers will have a shot next year. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section with a yes or a no. But I'll also say this about the Steelers quarterback situation, ladies and gentlemen. I think the longer we go without Russell Wilson or Justin Fields signing or re-signing with the Steelers, I should say, I think the more likely Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers becomes. Now, I do think that Rodgers to the Jets, or not to the Jets, the Giants, the other New York team, is certainly something that's possible as well. There's lots of reporting out there now that the Rodgers has been calling the New York Giants multiple times, that the Giants have interest in him. I could certainly see Rodgers wanting to flip sides there and play for Big Blue. But I could also see him wanting to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm going to share an unpopular opinion with you guys right now. I'm actually open to the idea of Aaron Rodgers coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially and really only if he brings in Davante Adams along with him, all right? Like, I think that, the narrative around Rodgers is that he's absolutely terrible and he can no longer play at all. When I watched his film back this past year, that's not the quarterback that I saw, all right? And when you dive into the numbers, I don't think that's the quarterback that you necessarily see either. I don't think he's bad as people say that he is, and I still think he has some very high-end traits to him that would attract me if I were Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan at this point in time. And I think that the truth of the matter here is that Nathaniel Hackett is even worse than Matt Canada as an offensive play caller and play designer. He is that bad of an offensive coordinator. And, every time and every year that he has been in charge of an NFL offense, the offense has been arguably the worst in the league. All right, like that's not an understatement. And when you compare Rodgers' numbers to the rest of the quarterbacks that have played for Nathaniel Hackett over the last several seasons, like Aaron Rodgers' numbers in points per game in terms of the team numbers there, the touchdown percentage was better, and then also the quarterback rating was better than Russell Wilson in 2022, and then also not Russell Wilson in 2023, Zach Wilson in 2023. So Rodgers is somebody that, when you compare him to his contemporaries in this offense, he actually played better than the current starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers in Russell Wilson. So you take a look under Hackett here. Russell Wilson in 2022 versus Aaron Rodgers and the numbers these guys put up. Aaron Rodgers outperformed Russell Wilson in that same exact offense, right? More points per game, higher completion percentage, a higher touchdown percentage, a lower turnover-worthy play percentage, and a higher quarterback rating. So, Rodgers, you can make an argument, is a better quarterback than Russell Wilson is right now. So if you're going to go the older, veteran quarterback route, I think that Aaron Rodgers, you can make an argument, makes more sense. And when you watch Rodgers on film, I still think he has high-end arm talent. Like, it's one thing to be like Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan, where you're completely losing your arm strength. That's not the case with Rodgers. He still has that little flick of the wrist, and he can really put some juice on the football still. Maybe it's not one of one like it used to be back in his Green Bay days, but it's still easily top 10 arm talent in the world right now. He's also got elite football IQ. Pre- and post-snap processing is still really, really good. He protects the football at a high level, so that's something Mike Tomlin would really like. And he got his chemistry back with Davante Adams. The stretch that they went on towards the end of the season was really, really good. It was one of the reasons why the Jets' offense was so much better down the stretch than it was to start this season with Rodgers under center. And then I think that's another major benefit for the Pittsburgh Steelers if they bring in Aaron Rodgers. And really, I would only be interested in Rodgers if he brings Davante Adams with him because, I think that with Davante, not only are you getting a legitimate player in your wide receiver room, but I think he's also could be a great mentor for George Pickens. And, we have heard George Pickens say that his dream teammate is also Aaron Rodgers. So if you're looking to make George Pickens happy and you're looking for him to not request a trade this offseason, I think Aaron Rodgers and then bringing in Davante Adams is something that could potentially keep him happy here in the Steel City. And, I think that Rodgers, like Russell Wilson, also fits Mike Tomlin's preferences in his starting quarterback. All right, we can go over the same list we talked about with Russell Wilson. Aaron Rodgers is an experienced playoff veteran, has even more playoff games under his belt than Russ, and has the same amount of Super Bowl wins. Can he deliver in the clutch? He's top 15 all-time in game-winning drives and fourth quarter comebacks, I believe. Then you get to the protecting the football. I think he was sixth in turnover-worthy play percentage last year, and he's tied for first all-time with the best interception percentage in league history. Does he avoid the middle of the field? Yes. The reason why Aaron Rodgers' interception percentage has been so low throughout his career is because he doesn't like throwing over the middle. Then we get to the final one here, the efficient downfield passing. I still think he has the arm talent to be able to do that. But I do think when it comes to the conversation between Russ and Aaron Rodgers, the veteran options that the Steelers have at their disposal this offseason, I think the Rodgers advantages include better post-snap processor, all right? So Russell Wilson kind of struggles past his first read. I think Aaron Rodgers has the better ability to work through his progressions post-snap. He gets the ball out faster, all right? So I think Aaron Rodgers is something like 6th or 7th. In terms of getting the ball out, average time to throw. I think that Russell Wilson was 28th last year in average time to throw. So if you're looking for somebody to help out the offensive line, get rid of the football faster, I think Rodgers provides that. And then also the Davante Adams connection. We know the Steelers need another wide receiver, and if you get Rodgers, it's probably a package deal with Davante Adams, who has also said he would love to play with Mike Tomlin, and I think that would improve the Steelers' offense. But that's not to say that there aren't advantages with Russ over Aaron Rodgers as well. Not only is Russ more experienced in this offense than Rodgers is, and he has more chemistry established with the current wide receiver pieces here in Pittsburgh, but he was also the more efficient downfield passer in 2024. Honestly, wasn't close. I think the EPA per attempt for Rodgers on 10-plus yards down the field attempts was 31st, and I think Russ's was first. It was first. Then we get to the more accurate passer in 2024. Russ had a higher catchable ball percentage than Rodgers had last year, and he also has that more experience with the team. So I think that, I would be fine with either Russ or Rodgers on this football team heading into 2025. No matter what, you're going to have to build a roster around either one of these guys. You're going to have that offensive line develop. You're going to have to get a running back early in the draft. You're going to help these guys out in the wide receiver room, and the defense is going to have to stabilize. But between the two, given that all the contract money the same, and it might not be, but just hypothetically, if you offer these two guys the same contract and they would both agree to it, I would prefer Aaron Rodgers because I prefer getting the ball out faster, taking less sacks, and I prefer the better post-snap processing that Rodgers possesses compared to Russell Wilson. But at the end of the day, if it is Russ, if it is Rodgers, I do have an open mind to this team potentially getting better in 2025. That'll be it for today's show, guys. I know it was a bit of a longer one. We had a lot to talk about with all these different quarterback targets for the Pittsburgh Steelers to consider. Keep in mind here that if Justin Fields is the option that the Steelers are going to be pursuing, I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. So if it is Fields, we will have you guys covered with breaking news coverage right here on Steelers Talk. And if it's any other quarterback, the same thing. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.